A man hijacks a plane, demands $200,000, and then jumps out mid-flight into the freezing night. No body, no trace, no identity. Over 50 years later, we still don't know who he was. No confirmed name, no confirmed face, no confirmed ending. Just one question that refuses to die. Did he pull off the perfect crime or the perfect disappearance? Man walked into Portland International Airport. He appeared to be in his mid-40s, wearing a dark suit, white shirt, and black tie. Carrying only a briefcase, he purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper. There was nothing unusual about him. He boarded Northwest Airlines Flight 305 alongside 36 passengers and a small crew. Sitting near the rear of the plane, he ordered a drink and lit a cigarette. Routine behavior for the time. The flight took off without incident. Then everything changed. Not long after takeoff, he handed an envelope to a flight attendant. At first it seemed unimportant, but he leaned in and calmly warned her to read it, because he had a bomb. Inside was a handwritten message. Direct, unsettling. Following his instructions, she sat beside him. He opened his briefcase just enough to reveal what looked like sticks of dynamite wired together. Whether real or not didn't matter. No one was willing to find out. His demands were simple: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck ready in Seattle. If not, he said, he would do the job. The cockpit was alerted immediately. From that moment, communication between him and the crew was handled carefully, with one attendant staying close to relay instructions. As the plane approached Seattle, it began circling for over an hour while authorities rushed to meet his demands. The money was gathered, 10,000 $20 bills, and parachutes were secured. By the time the plane landed, darkness had taken over. The aircraft was directed to a remote part of the runway. The money and parachutes were delivered. In return, all passengers were released, along with some crew members. Most of them had no idea what had just happened. Now, with only a few crew members remaining, he revealed the next step. He wanted to fly to Mexico City. But his instructions were strange. The plane had to stay below 10,000 feet, with landing gear down and flaps partially extended. The cabin lights were to remain off. Most unusual of all, he demanded the rear stairway be lowered mid-flight. Not everything was possible. The plane couldn't reach Mexico City under those conditions. So a stop in Reno, Nevada was arranged. The aircraft also couldn't take off with the rear stairs down. He accepted this, on the condition that he would operate them himself once airborne. After delays, the plane took off again. Soon after, he instructed the last remaining attendant with him to go to the cockpit and not return. She obeyed. That was the last time anyone saw him. Hours later, the plane landed safely. When authorities entered, he was gone. The rear stairway had been lowered mid-flight. A few items remained behind, but the man himself had vanished. Somewhere between two cities, D.B. Cooper had jumped into the darkness. The moment it became clear he had escaped, the investigation began. He left behind almost nothing: a black clip-on tie, cigarette butts, and 2 unused parachutes. The money and his briefcase were gone. Witnesses described him as calm and composed. A man in his mid-40s with dark hair and brown eyes. He wore sunglasses for most of the flight, hiding his identity. Sketches were created. But before finding him, investigators needed to determine where he landed. No one saw him jump, not even the aircraft tracking from a distance. but the crew recalled a brief vibration roughly 30 minutes after takeoff. Small, subtle, but consistent with the rear stairway being deployed. Using this and flight data, investigators estimated he jumped somewhere over a vast stretch of forest north of Portland. Search teams were deployed immediately. Helicopters scanned from above while a ground crews combed through miles of wilderness. The weather was unforgiving, cold, wet, and dense with vegetation. Despite everything, nothing was found. It was as if he had disappeared completely. With no physical trace, attention turned to the ransom. Every bill had been recorded. Serial numbers were distributed nationwide, with instructions to report any match. Years passed. Nothing. Then, nearly a decade later, something unexpected happened. A young boy digging along a riverbank uncovered decaying bundles of cash buried in the sand. Thousands of dollars. It was confirmed to be part of the ransom. But instead of solving the mystery, it deepened it. The location didn't match the estimated drop zone. Even stranger, the condition of the money raised questions. The bindings holding it together should have deteriorated long before, which led to a chilling possibility. The money may have been buried deliberately. But by who? D.B. Cooper? Or someone who found him? No answer ever came. Many believe he didn't survive. The conditions were brutal: a nighttime jump, a storm, 10,000 feet in the air, high speed. And he was dressed in a business suit, not survival gear. The parachute he chose may have made things worse. There's evidence suggesting he selected a non-functional reserve chute by mistake. Which raises a question. Was he inexperienced? Or did he know exactly what he was doing? Because there were signs of planning. It worked. Even if he survived the jump, he would have landed in remote wilderness, in freezing conditions, at night. Survival would have been difficult, but not impossible. And no missing person ever matched his description. So maybe he lived. Maybe he walked away. Over the years, many suspects emerged. Some had military backgrounds. Others had skydiving experience. A few had motives. One confessed before dying. Another carried out a similar crime months later. Some matched parts of the story. None matched all of it. DNA evidence was limited. Fingerprints led nowhere. Key evidence was lost over time. Every lead ended the same way. Close, but never certain. In 2016, after decades of searching, the case was officially closed. D.B. Cooper was never found. No proof of life, no proof of death. Just a mystery. A man who boarded a plane, carried out one of the boldest hijackings in history, and vanished without a trace. Did he survive? Did he escape and live in silence? Or did he die the moment he jumped? No one knows, and maybe no one ever will, because some mysteries don't end. They linger, and the legend of D.B. Cooper is one of them.